Welcome to a deep dive
Oh, cool.
into a side of survival we don't often think about.
Okay.
It's what happens after you've escaped that immediate danger.
Right.
We're going to be using Lawrence Gonzalez's book, Surviving Survival,
Yeah.
and a detailed chapter summary
Okay.
to guide our exploration today.
Great.
We're on a mission to understand how trauma really impacts survivors,
Yeah.
how resilience works,
Mm-hmm.
and what strategies can help navigate the tricky road to recovery.
Mm-hmm.
It's easy to celebrate the moment someone survives a disaster,
Right.
but what about the struggles they face long after the headlines fade?
It's fascinating how we focus on that making it out alive part.
Yeah.
But the journey after that initial survival can be just as harrowing,
Oh, wow.
if not more so.
Yeah.
Gonzalez calls this the second nightmare.
The second nightmare.
Yeah,
That sounds pretty ominous.
it is.
What exactly does that look like for survivors?
Well, imagine this.
Okay.
You've just gone through a life or death experience, maybe a natural disaster or a serious accident.
Right.
The immediate threat is gone. You're physically safe,
Mm.
but your mind and body are still reeling.
Oh, gosh.
That's the second nightmare.
Yeah.
It's the psychological and emotional fallout that hits after the initial crisis has passed.
So it's not just about dealing with the physical injuries.
Right.
It's the invisible wounds that linger.
Exactly.
Wow.
Take the story of Patricia O'Brien, for example.
Okay.
She survived a grizzly bear attack,
Oh, my gosh.
but the trauma didn't end when her physical wounds healed.
Really?
Years later, she was still plagued by nightmares, flashbacks, and this constant feeling of being hunted.
Oh, wow.
It's as if her brain was stuck in survival mode, even though the danger was long gone.
That must be terrifying.
Oh, it is.
To feel like you're constantly in danger even when you're safe?
Absolutely. And it's a common experience for trauma survivors.
Oh, really?
You see, when we go through a traumatic event, our brains actually rewire themselves. New neural pathways form, pathways associated with fear and anxiety.
Huh.
So even when the danger is gone, the brain remains on high alert, scanning for threats that might not be there.
So it's like the brain is trying to protect us,
Right.
but it's overdoing it.
Exactly.
But our brains can change, right?
Yes,
Can those pathways be unwired, so to speak?
that's the good news.
Okay.
Our brains are remarkably adaptable.
Oh, good.
We call this neuroplasticity, and it's a key player in trauma recovery.
Huh.
Think of it like this.
Okay.
If trauma creates a well-worn path in the brain,
Right.
recovery is about forging new paths, ones that lead to feelings of safety and well-being.
I see.
It's a process of consciously overriding those traumatic memories with new positive ones.
So it's not just a matter of time healing all wounds.
Yeah,
It's about actively working to reshape how our brains respond.
precisely.
Yeah.
And that's where resilience comes in.
Yeah.
Some people may have a natural tendency toward resilience,
Right.
but it's also a skill that can be learned and strengthened.
I see.
It's about seeing challenges as opportunities for growth rather than insurmountable threats.
Mm-hmm.
Think of it as building a mental muscle.
So it's not a case of you either have it or you don't.
Nope.
What are some practical things people can do to build that resilience muscle?
Building a strong support network is a great place to start.
Okay.
Having people you trust to talk to,
Yeah.
people who listen without judgment,
Hmm.
can make a huge difference. And taking care of your physical health is just as important.
Right.
We often forget that trauma isn't just a mental and emotional experience.
It's true.
Yeah.
We often talk about the mind and body as separate things.
Right.
But they're deeply connected.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Trauma can manifest physically, too, leading to issues like chronic fatigue, digestive problems, muscle tension, or even a heightened sensitivity to pain.
Oh, wow.
Think of it this way. The body keeps the score.
Mm-hmm.
It remembers the trauma just as vividly as the mind does.
It's like our bodies are trying to tell us something to get our attention.
Exactly.
So what can be done to address these physical symptoms?
Well,
Or we're talking about traditional medicine here?
traditional medicine certainly has its place,
Okay.
but there are also a number of body-based therapies that can be incredibly helpful.
Like what?
Yoga, dance, martial arts.
Mm-hmm.
These practices focus on releasing that stored tension
Mm-hmm.
and helping to reconnect mind and body in a healthy way.
Yeah.
It's about giving the body a chance to process the trauma as well.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
If our bodies hold on to the trauma, then we need to address that physical side of healing too.
Right.
Yeah.
And there's a growing understanding of how mindfulness practices can be used for trauma recovery.
Oh, right.
Techniques like focusing on your breath or noticing the sensations in your body can help increase body awareness and promote relaxation.
So it's about learning to be present in your body.
Yeah.
To tune into its signals and help Calm that nervous system that's on overdrive.
Exactly.
Right.
And let's not forget the benefits of good old-fashioned exercise. It releases endorphins, which
Uh-huh.
have mood-boosting effects,
Mhm.
and helps reduce those stress hormones that are often through the roof after trauma.
It's like giving your body a chance to release that pent-up energy in a healthy way.
Exactly.
Right.
It's all about taking a holistic approach to healing, addressing the mental, emotional, and physical aspects of trauma.
Yeah.
And it's a reminder that healing is a journey, not a destination.
Speaking of journeys, Gonzalez shares some really compelling stories about how survivors use different strategies to regain a sense of control and normalcy after trauma.
Yeah.
One that really stood out to me was the story of Steve Callahan,
Okay.
the sailor who survived 76 days adrift at sea.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
His story is a powerful example of how the routines and disciplines that help us survive a crisis can also become essential for healing afterward.
It's like those survival tactics aren't just about staying alive in the moment.
Right.
They become the building blocks for rebuilding a life.
Yes.
Wow.
For Callahan, maintaining those routines wasn't just about staying afloat.
Right.
It was about holding on to some semblance of normalcy in the midst of chaos.
Hmm.
That's a crucial element of healing.
It's like creating little islands of stability in a sea of uncertainty.
Yeah.
And those islands can become the foundation for rebuilding a life.
And those islands don't have to be grand gestures.
Okay.
Small, structured habits.
Like what?
Making your bed every morning, having a regular mealtime,
Yeah.
even just taking a few minutes each day to do something you enjoy.
Right.
These things can be incredibly grounding after a traumatic experience.
It's like those small actions send a message to your brain.
Mm.
Hey, we're okay.
Right.
We've got this.
Exactly.
Which seems to connect to the idea of mindfulness that we were talking about earlier, right?
Yes, those small actions can be a form of mindfulness.
Oh, okay.
Focusing on your breath, noticing the sensations in your body. These can be incredibly powerful ways to anchor yourself in the present moment and ease the feeling of disorientation that often comes with trauma.
Yeah.
It's about gently pulling yourself back from the swirl of anxieties and back to the here and now.
And from there, you can start to rebuild.
Right.
But that rebuilding often involves reaching out to others, right?
Absolutely.
Isolation can be dangerous for anyone, but especially for those who have experienced trauma.
Absolutely.
Hmm.
Gonzalez highlights how relationships can be both a source of incredible support and a potential source of frustration for survivors. He talks about how difficult it can be for those who haven't experienced trauma to truly understand what it's like.
He uses the example of a woman who survived a home invasion.
Oh, gosh.
She talked about how difficult it was for her to feel understood by those who hadn't gone through something similar.
Yeah.
It created this distance, this feeling of isolation, even from people who cared about her.
That's one of the heartbreaking realities of trauma. It can create an invisible barrier between those who've experienced it and those who haven't.
Right.
But bridging that gap is so important. Survivors need to know they're not alone, that their experiences are valid,
Right.
and that they deserve support and compassion.
And that's where strong support networks become crucial.
Yes.
Family, friends, therapy groups, or even online communities where survivors can share their stories without judgment and feel truly seen and heard.
These connections can be lifelines.
Yeah.
They provide a sense of belonging, a sense of normalcy, a reminder that you're not alone in this.
It's like that saying, a burden shared is a burden halved.
Exactly.
And sometimes that healing involves redefining yourself.
Right. Correct.
Creating a new normal that acknowledges the experience of trauma but doesn't let it define you.
That's an essential part of the healing journey.
Okay.
Gonzalez talks about the new normal as a redefined identity,
Yeah.
one that incorporates the trauma without letting it dictate the survivor's entire being. It's about finding a way to integrate that experience into your life story without letting it become the whole story.
It's about finding a new path forward.
Yeah.
One that acknowledges the past but doesn't let it hold you captive.
And a key part of that process is acceptance. Accepting that life has changed, that you've changed, and that this new normal, while different, can still be a fulfilling and meaningful life.
It's like finding a way to live alongside the trauma, to find a balance between the past and the present.
Exactly.
And sometimes that path leads to unexpected growth and transformation.
Yes.
Which brings us to the idea of post-traumatic growth,
Okay.
a concept that's both surprising and incredibly hopeful.
It might seem counterintuitive,
Yeah.
but research shows that even though trauma can be incredibly damaging, it can also lead to positive changes.
Really?
Think about people who have overcome incredible adversity.
Okay.
They often emerge with greater resilience, a deeper appreciation for life, and a heightened sense of empathy.
It's like the experience,
Yeah,
however painful,
right.
has forged something new and powerful within them.
And that power can manifest in different ways.
Okay.
Some find healing in helping others,
Well,
some turn to creative expression,
mhm.
and some become advocates for change.
Right.
Gonzalez shares the story of a plane crash survivor who dedicated her life to aviation safety,
Wow.
using her experience to try to prevent similar tragedies from happening to others.
It's like turning pain into purpose,
Right.
finding a way to make meaning out of something that felt senseless.
And that sense of purpose can be a catalyst for healing.
Okay.
It's about reclaiming your agency,
Mm-hmm.
taking control of your narrative,
Right.
and finding a way to move forward with intention.
It's a powerful reminder that even in the darkest experiences,
Yes.
there's potential for growth and transformation.
Absolutely.
But let's be honest, dealing with trauma is hard work.
Oh, it is.
And sometimes that work involves strategies that might seem surprising, even counterintuitive.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Gonzalez dives into some of those unexpected coping mechanisms.
Like what?
He talks about the role of suppression and even humor in dealing with trauma.
Well, suppression.
Yeah,
Isn't the idea to process and work through those traumatic memories?
it is.
How can suppressing those memories be helpful?
You're right. Processing is essential.
Okay.
But Gonzalez argues that selective suppression can be a helpful tool, at least in the short term.
I see.
It's not about denying the trauma,
Yep.
but about being able to temporarily set those difficult emotions aside when you need to focus on other things.
So it's about being able to compartmentalize,
Right.
to give your brain a break from constantly reliving the trauma.
Exactly.
Got
If you're constantly replaying the traumatic event,
Yeah.
it can be incredibly draining and prevent you from engaging with your daily life, from taking steps toward healing.
Right.
Suppression, used strategically,
Yeah.
can create the space for that healing to happen.
So it's about finding moments of respite,
Yes,
a chance to recharge.
exactly.
But humor. How can humor possibly be a tool for dealing with something as serious as trauma?
It might seem counterintuitive,
Yeah?
but humor can be surprisingly powerful.
Okay.
It can help release tension, create emotional distance from the painful experience, and foster resilience. It's not about making light of the trauma,
Right.
but about finding moments of lightness within the darkness.
It's like a little spark of hope,
Yeah,
a reminder that life goes on even after the most difficult experiences.
right.
But it seems like it's all about balance, right?
It is.
Knowing when to engage with the trauma and when to redirect your attention.
You've hit the nail on the head.
Okay.
Gonzalez talks about developing that ability to shift your focus,
Hmm.
to create space for processing the trauma,
Yeah.
but also to allow yourself to engage in things that bring you joy, that replenish your spirit.
Okay.
It's about building a toolkit of coping mechanisms,
Yeah.
figuring out what works for you,
Right.
and knowing when to use each tool.
And building that toolkit often involves seeking professional help.
Yeah.
Finding a therapist who specializes in trauma
Hmm.
and connecting with support groups where you can share your experiences with others who understand.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Those are essential resources.
Right.
But Gonzalez also highlights the importance of establishing daily practices that promote healing.
Okay.
Things you can do on your own to build resilience and support your overall well-being.
He talks a lot about journaling,
Mm.
mindfulness exercises, and regular physical activity.
Right.
But one of the things that resonated most with me was his emphasis on self-compassion.
Okay.
Why is that so important?
Wow.
Especially in the context of trauma recovery.
Trauma can be incredibly self-critical.
Oh,
Survivors often blame themselves for what happened or feel ashamed of their reactions.
really?
Self-compassion is the antidote to that.
Okay.
It's about being kind to yourself,
Yeah.
acknowledging the effort you're putting in, recognizing that you're doing the best you can with what you've got.
It's about treating yourself with the same kindness
Mm.
and understanding you would offer to a close friend going through a difficult time.
Exactly. And it's about remembering that healing takes time.
Yep.
There will be setbacks. There will be triggers. There will be days when it feels like you're taking 2 steps back for every 1 step forward.
But it's about remembering that you're not alone.
Right.
Healing is possible.
Absolutely.
You have the strength within you to navigate this journey.
And that strength is often found in connection,
Yeah.
in community, in reaching out for support and allowing others to walk alongside you on this path.
Okay.
But Gonzalez also talks about the importance of cultivating inner strength, of finding ways to soothe and nourish your soul.
He highlights practices like gratitude and mindfulness,
Yeah.
things that might seem simple,
Yeah,
but can have a profound impact on our well-being.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And we'll delve deeper into those practices and the science behind them when we return for part 2 of our deep dive.
Right. We'll come back to our deep dive into surviving survival.
Thanks for having me back.
You know, as we were talking about gratitude and mindfulness,
Yeah.
I realized those are practices that can benefit anyone, not just trauma survivors.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
These tools can help build resilience and navigate life's inevitable challenges, whether you faced major trauma or just everyday stresses.
Let's unpack those a bit more.
Okay.
I get gratitude,
Mm-hmm.
focusing on the good things, even when life feels rough.
Right.
But how does that actually help someone who's dealing with the aftermath of a traumatic event?
When you're struggling with difficult emotions and painful memories,
Yeah,
it's easy to get caught in a loop of negativity.
right.
Gratitude helps you break free from that.
Okay.
It's about consciously shifting your attention to the positive aspects of your life,
Hmm.
however small they might seem.
So it's not about denying the pain or pretending everything's okay.
Right.
It's about finding those glimmers of light amidst the darkness.
Exactly. It's about reminding yourself that even in the midst of suffering,
Yeah.
there are still things to appreciate.
Like what?
The warmth of the sun, a good cup of coffee, the kindness of a stranger. These small moments of gratitude can have a surprisingly powerful impact on your well-being.
It's almost like training your brain to look for the good, to
Right.
savor those moments of joy, no matter how fleeting.
And the amazing thing is,
Yeah.
gratitude isn't just a feel-good emotion.
Okay.
It actually changes your brain chemistry.
Really?
Studies have shown that practicing gratitude regularly can reduce stress hormones, improve sleep quality, and even boost your immune system.
So it's not just about feeling better in the moment.
Right.
It's about building a more resilient foundation for your mental and physical health.
Exactly.
Which brings us to mindfulness,
Okay.
a word that gets thrown around a lot these days. For someone who's new to this,
Mhm.
how would you explain mindfulness in a way that makes sense?
Mindfulness is the practice of bringing your attention to the present moment without judgment.
Okay.
It's about noticing your thoughts, feelings, and sensations as they arise without getting swept away by them.
It sounds simple enough,
Yeah,
but I imagine it's harder than it sounds,
it is.
especially when you're dealing with trauma.
Yeah.
Your mind might be racing with anxious thoughts or replaying the traumatic event over and over.
You're right, it takes practice.
Right.
But that's the beauty of mindfulness. It's a
Yeah.
skill you can develop over time.
Right.
It's like training a muscle.
I see.
The more you practice, the easier it becomes to observe your thoughts and emotions without letting them control you.
So instead of getting caught up in the swirl of thoughts and feelings,
Yeah.
you learn to step back and observe them, almost like watching clouds drift by.
That's a great analogy.
Yeah.
And that ability to create space between yourself and your thoughts can be incredibly freeing,
Right.
especially for trauma survivors. It gives you a sense of agency, a reminder that you're not your thoughts, you're the observer of your thoughts.
So it's about reclaiming that power,
Right.
that ability to choose how you respond,
Yeah,
rather than reacting automatically from a place of fear or pain.
exactly.
And Gonzalez points out that acceptance plays a big role in this process, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Acceptance isn't about condoning what happened or minimizing the pain. It's about acknowledging reality. It's about saying yes to what is,
Right.
even if it's incredibly difficult.
It's like acknowledging the wound,
Yeah,
cleaning it out, and allowing it to heal.
that's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
And it's a crucial step in moving forward.
But acceptance doesn't mean forgetting or minimizing what happened, right?
Right.
It's more about integrating that experience into your life story without letting it define you.
Exactly.
All right.
It's about finding a way to move forward with both strength and vulnerability, acknowledging the impact of the trauma without letting it consume you. And sometimes that moving forward involves finding a new purpose, a new direction that gives your life meaning.
This is where his idea of meaning making comes in, right?
It does.
That even though trauma can shatter your world,
Yeah.
it can also be an opportunity to rebuild,
Yes.
to create something new and meaningful.
Right.
Yeah.
He argues that finding purpose in the aftermath of trauma can be incredibly healing and transformative.
So it could be something big, like dedicating your life to a cause that's important to you.
Right.
Or something small,
Yeah,
like focusing on your relationships or finding joy in everyday activities.
absolutely.
It's about finding a way to make your life count, to use your experience to make a difference in the world, even if it's just your little corner of the world.
And that sense of purpose can be incredibly empowering.
Okay.
It gives you a reason to get out of bed in the morning, a reason to keep moving forward,
Yeah.
even when it's hard.
And it can also connect you to others,
It can.
create a sense of community and shared purpose.
That's so important. Right.
Gonzalez talks about how isolation can be a real danger for trauma survivors.
Yeah.
Connecting with others,
Mhm.
whether it's through support groups,
Yeah.
volunteering, or just spending time with loved ones, can make a world of difference.
It's about rebuilding that sense of belonging, of knowing you're not alone in this.
Right.
And sometimes that connection comes from helping others who've been through similar experiences.
That's a powerful point.
Yeah.
Gonzalez talks about the healing power of altruism.
Okay.
Helping others,
Yeah.
even in small ways, can shift your perspective, boost your mood, and remind you of your own strength and resilience.
It's like that saying,
Mm.
the best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in the service of others.
Yes,
But I imagine finding the energy to help others when you're struggling yourself can be a challenge.
it can be.
Yeah.
And that's why self-care is so crucial.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, you
Yeah.
can't pour from an empty cup.
Right.
It's essential to prioritize your own well-being.
To make time for things that nourish your mind, body, and spirit.
And those things can be different for everyone.
They can.
It might be spending time in nature, reading a good book, taking a long bath, or simply allowing yourself to rest and recharge.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's about listening to your body and giving yourself what you need.
And one of the most important forms of self-care is being kind to yourself.
Absolutely.
We were talking about self-compassion earlier.
Yeah.
That's so important, especially in the context of trauma recovery.
It is.
It's easy to fall into self-blame or shame,
Right.
to get stuck in those negative thought patterns.
You're right.
Yeah,
Trauma can really do a number on your self-esteem.
it can.
But self-compassion is about recognizing that you're human,
Mm-hmm.
that you're going to make mistakes, that you're not perfect, and
Yeah.
that's okay.
Yeah.
It's about treating yourself with the same kindness and understanding that you would offer to a dear friend.
It's about recognizing that you deserve love and compassion, even when you mess up or fall short of your own expectations.
Absolutely.
Which brings us back to that idea of resilience, of having the strength to get back up after you fall.
Yeah,
Gonzalez emphasizes that setbacks are inevitable, right?
absolutely.
That healing isn't a straight line.
Right.
It's more of a winding path with twists and turns along the way.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There will be days when you feel like you're making progress.
Yeah.
And there will be days when you feel like you're right back where you started.
Yeah.
And that's normal. It's part of the process.
So it's about being patient with yourself,
Yeah.
recognizing that healing takes time, and remembering that you don't have to do this alone.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's about reaching out for support when you need it,
Mm-hmm.
connecting with others who understand,
Right.
and trusting that you have the strength to navigate this journey,
Yeah.
even when it feels overwhelming.
And sometimes that journey leads to unexpected places, to growth and transformation that you never could have imagined.
It can.
Which is where the concept of post-traumatic growth comes in. It's the idea that even though trauma can be incredibly painful and disruptive, it can also be a catalyst for positive change.
It might sound counterintuitive,
Yeah.
but research shows that people who have experienced trauma often report positive changes in their lives,
Oh, wow.
such as a greater appreciation for life,
Mm-hmm.
deeper relationships, a newfound sense of purpose, or a stronger sense of spirituality.
It's like that saying, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Yeah,
But I think it's more nuanced than that, right?
it is.
It's not that the trauma itself is a good thing,
Right.
but that it can be an opportunity for growth and transformation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that transformation can manifest in so many different ways.
Okay.
For some people, it might be about developing a new skill or pursuing a passion they never had time for before.
Yeah.
For others, it might be about deepening their relationships or finding ways to give back to their community.
It's about finding those silver linings,
Mm-hmm.
those unexpected gifts that can emerge from even the darkest experiences. And that's a powerful reminder that even though trauma can change us,
Yeah.
it doesn't have to define us.
Right.
We still have the power to choose how we respond, how we heal, and how we live our lives.
And that choice, that agency, is at the heart of survival.
Okay.
It's about reclaiming your power,
Right.
finding your voice, and creating a life that feels authentic and meaningful,
Right.
even in the face of adversity.
And that's a powerful note to end on for part 2 of our deep dive.
I agree.
But there's still much more to explore.
Okay.
Join us for the final part of our deep dive as we delve into the final chapters of Surviving Survival
Sounds good.
and the enduring lessons we can take from those who have not only survived, but thrived in the face of extraordinary challenges. Welcome back to the final part of our deep dive into Surviving Survival.
It's great to be here.
We've covered a lot of ground, exploring the impact of trauma, the power of resilience,
Yeah.
and those inspiring stories of transformation.
Mm-hmm.
As we wrap up our exploration of Lawrence Gonzalez's Surviving Survival,
Okay.
what are some of the most crucial things you think our listeners should take away from this book?
You know, one thing that really stands out to me
Yeah.
is that healing from trauma is a deeply personal journey.
Okay.
There's no one-size-fits-all approach.
Right.
No magic formula.
Right.
What works for one person
Yeah.
might not work for another.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
We've talked about so many different approaches,
Right.
from therapy and support groups to mindfulness and gratitude practices.
Absolutely.
It seems like finding what works best for you is key.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's about experimenting,
Mhm.
being open to trying different things,
Right.
and trusting your own intuition.
Okay.
And
yeah.
it's important to remember that it's not about achieving some perfect state of healing.
Right.
It's about learning to live with the scars, to
Yeah.
integrate the experience into your life in a way that allows you to move forward with both strength and vulnerability.
And that can take time, right?
It can-
We've talked about how healing isn't linear.
Right.
There will be setbacks.
Absolutely.
There will be days when it feels like you're taking 2 steps back for every 1 step forward.
And that's where self-compassion comes in.
Right.
Being kind to yourself.
Yeah.
Acknowledging your progress.
Mm-hmm.
And celebrating your wins, no matter how small they might seem.
We also talked about the importance of acceptance.
Yeah.
It's not about condoning what happened or minimizing the pain,
Right.
but about acknowledging reality and finding a way to make peace with it.
Acceptance can be incredibly challenging, especially in the early stages of healing,
Right.
but it's a crucial step in moving forward.
Mm.
And Gonzalez offers a really interesting perspective on this.
Okay.
He talks about the importance of surrendering to what is,
Mm.
of letting go of the need to control everything.
That's an interesting concept,
It is.
especially in a society that often values control and mastery.
It does.
Can you elaborate on that?
He uses the analogy of a rip current. If you're caught in a rip current
Yeah.
and you try to fight against it,
Mm-hmm.
you'll just exhaust yourself and risk drowning.
Right.
But if you relax and let the current carry you, it will eventually deposit you back on shore.
It's like saying that sometimes
Yeah.
the best way to survive
Right.
is to stop struggling,
Right.
to surrender to the experience and trust that you'll find your way through.
Exactly. And that surrender, that acceptance can be incredibly liberating.
Yep.
It doesn't mean giving up or resigning yourself to a life of suffering.
Right.
It's about recognizing that you can't control everything, that life is full of unpredictable twists and turns.
It's about learning to ride the waves, so to speak,
Exactly.
instead of trying to control the ocean.
And in that process of surrendering,
Yeah.
of letting go,
Mm-hmm.
we often find a deeper connection to something larger than ourselves,
Okay.
whether it's spirituality, nature, or a sense of community.
And that connection can be a powerful source of healing and resilience, can't it? It's a reminder that we're not alone in this.
Right.
That we're part of something bigger.
Right.
Yeah.
And Gonzalez also talks about the importance of finding meaning and purpose in the aftermath of trauma.
Oh.
He calls it legacy building.
It's about asking yourself, what do I want my life to stand for?
Yes.
How can I use my experience to make a positive impact on the world?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that impact can take many forms.
Like what?
It could be about mentoring someone who's going through a similar experience,
Yeah.
volunteering your time to a cause you care about,
Mm-hmm.
or simply living your life with greater kindness and compassion.
It's about finding a way to transform your pain into a gift, your wounds into wisdom.
Right.
And that's a beautiful and powerful way to frame the journey of survival.
It is.
It's not just about enduring, it's about thriving.
Yes.
About using your experience to create a more meaningful and fulfilling life.
And that thriving often involves stepping outside of your comfort zone,
Oh, God.
challenging yourself,
Right.
and embracing new experiences.
Yeah.
It's about continuing to grow and evolve even when it's scary.
It's like saying yes to life,
Yeah,
even after it's thrown you some curveballs.
absolutely.
It's about reclaiming your power and choosing to live a life that feels authentic and aligned with your values.
And remember, you don't have to do it alone.
Right.
Reach out to others.
Yeah.
Build a supportive community.
Mm.
And trust in your own resilience.
Okay.
You have the strength to not only survive, but to thrive
Yeah.
in the face of life's challenges.
And on that note of hope and possibility,
Yeah,
we wrap up our deep dive into surviving survival.
it's been great.
Thank you for joining us on this exploration of the human capacity for resilience, healing, and growth.
My pleasure.
We hope this deep dive has provided you with valuable insights and a renewed sense of hope.
Absolutely.
Remember,
Yeah,
even in the darkest of times, there's always light to be found,
right.
and you have the power to find it.
That's the key takeaway.
Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.